Welcome to the Harry E. Mitchell Government Center for the Tempe City Council regular council meeting for Thursday, April 28th. The time is now 6:13 p.m. Members of the public who attend the meeting physically are asked to maintain distance between other parties, and masks are optional for all attendees per City of Tempe policy. Alternatively, members of the public may attend the meeting virtually through Cisco WebEx events by visiting tempe.gov/councilmeetinginfo for more information. Council meetings can also be watched in real time via Cox Cable Channel 11 and at tempe.gov/tempe11. Also want to let everybody know that immediately following the regular council meeting this evening, a special meeting of the Rio Salado Community Facilities District Board will be held. I'd like to now invite anyone who is able and willing to stand to join me in a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you very much. Next up, we have item number 4, meeting minutes. Tonight, I'll be assisted by Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Councilmember.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I would like to move approval of the City Council meeting minutes, item 4A1 and 2.
Great. It's been moved by Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote. Okay.
Or I vote aye.
Thank you, Councilmember Garland.
Oh, it's working tonight.
All right, and just got it. Okay. And Vice Mayor Keating and Councilmember Garland have both voted aye. That item passes 7-0. Next up, we have item 4B, acceptance of board, commission, and committee meeting minutes. Councilmember Arredondo Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move approval of 4B1 through 17.
It's been moved by Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Keating. Please vote. And Councilmember Garland? Councilmember Garland? I know she's there. One more time. Councilmember Garland, can you hear me? Okay, well, that item passes 6-0.
Yes, I can, Mayor.
Oh, there you are. Do you vote aye?
Sorry. Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Sounds good. And that item also passes 7-0. Next up, we have item 5, reports and announcements. I've got a few here. First one is our Kid Zone Mayor Awards presentation. The Mayor's Office and the Tempe City Council are interested in honoring outstanding children in our community and adults who provide free, quality care and education for those children. Tonight, we are proud to honor and recognize those children and adults because of their outstanding participation in the Kid Zone enrichment programs. Kid Zone is an award-winning school-age enrichment program administered by the City of Tempe in cooperation with the Tempe Elementary School District. It offers an exciting, safe place for students from preschool through 8th grade where they may interact with their friends while they participate in enrichment activities and develop new interests after school. The 28 students we recognize tonight represent over 1,200 children enrolled in Kid Zone this past year. They were selected by the Kid Zone staff because of their kind and respectful attitude toward other children and staff, their initiative and enthusiastic positive participation, their display of cooperation, good sportsmanship, responsibility, and leadership. Students were amazing as they continued to navigate COVID protocols, wore masks all day, washed their hands consistently, and worked to interact while staying socially distant. Kid Zone could not have provided these services without the help and support of some outstanding school partners from the Tempe Elementary School District. While there are too many to mention this evening, there are 3 we'd like to particularly recognize. The dedicated school partners we honor tonight are individuals who demonstrate cooperation, mutual respect, and knowledge of the importance of quality out-of-school time enrichment. They understand that significant learning still takes place before and after the school bell rings. Their support exemplifies how cooperation between the city and the school district can work at the highest level to make exceptional programming available to children at each school. The 3 staff we'd like to recognize tonight are Gabriel Navarrete, lead custodian at Wood Elementary School. Give him a round of applause. Mr. Navarrete, or Gabby as he is known to staff, has been a tireless supporter of KidZone over several years. KidZone staff report Gabby always works to make things as easy as possible for them. On some occasions, when the air conditioning has gone out in the KidZone space, he's been in contact with the district within minutes, as well as finding cool spaces for KidZone to move students. The pandemic hit as the old wood school building was set to be demolished. When everything was closed, Gabby made extra efforts to give KidZone staff access to the old building to retrieve their supplies before demolition. He also made sure KidZone had everything they needed to move themselves into the new school, including things like having bulletin boards installed. He regularly communicates with KidZone staff regarding anything happening in the school that could possibly affect KidZone or just to make sure staff are okay. Please give Gabriel Navarrete another big round of applause. Next up, we have Brandon Russell, who's a counselor at Rover Elementary School. Mr. Russell was regularly involved with KidZone at Rover School. He knows all the KidZone staff and students by name. He regularly shares information and tools to assist KidZone staff in providing a higher quality of care. He's helped KidZone staff set up support plans for students having emotional difficulties, helping give those students consistency throughout the day, beginning from before school to during school time on through their after-school hours. He's been a huge support to KidZone staff when they've had to deal with some very emotionally difficult issues, including having to report a suspected case of abuse to authorities or giving advice for how to help a student when he told his KidZone staff that he was worried about a friend harming himself. Staff described Mr. Russell as supportive, caring, positive, never complaining, and a light, despite having one of the hardest jobs. Please give Brandon Russell another round of applause. And next up, we have Jeffrey Shores, who's the principal at Holdeman Elementary School. Dr. Shores is a huge supporter of KidZone at Holdeman School. He is generous with indoor and outdoor space and goes out of his way to move large school meetings to other parts of the school to ensure KidZone is not bumped out of the cafeteria or multi-purpose room. Dr. Shores is friendly, accessible, and a fantastic communicator. He's given his cell number to the KidZone manager and regularly checks in with KidZone to get updates on specific children, discuss information communicated to and from parents, and just see how KidZone is doing in general. He truly cares about his students, both during and outside of school hours, even coming into KidZone one time and sitting with an upset child until they were picked up by parents. We'd now like to show a very short slideshow recognizing these outstanding students and school partners. Councilmember Adams?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to give a shout out to Patty Russell and Jill Rasmussen. I've known them for 30 years, and they have been rock stars in Kids Zone all these years and have done such a great job. And you've been winning awards, national awards, as long as I can remember. So thank you for being such great employees, such caring individuals about the kids, and taking such good care of them with all of their needs, including their mental health and their safety. And I just really appreciate everything you've done for this community. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilmember Adams. I'm going to step down to make another presentation here. Thank you very much. All right, so next up here is our Green Business Certification presentation. Our great partners at Local First Arizona developed the Arizona Green Business Certification as a consultation and training program to help businesses think about the impact of their operations, conserve resources, save money, and get them the recognition they deserve for being strong supports in their local community. Thank you so much to Local First for being such a great steward of our local business community. Jessie Whitfield and her team, and I love this acronym, MISGIF, M-I-S-G-I-F, but it's pronounced mischief, I was told before here. They're a shining example of how a local business can meet the needs of the community and the environment through their business operations. MISGIF provides stylish and sustainable animated photo booth experiences for their clients using recyclable and reusable props and equipment, avoiding the production of single-use items. They source products and services as locally as possible, keeping dollars circulating in the local Tempe economy while avoiding transportation miles and harmful emissions from global supply chains. These values and more are outlined in their sustainability policy, which they have adopted as they work to make their business and the Arizona events industry as a whole more sustainable. Let's give it up to MISGIF for achieving the Green Business Certification. And I'd like to offer the opportunity for Local First or Jessie to come forward and talk a little bit to the audience here tonight about what this means to them.
I have lived in Tempe, Arizona my entire life, and I was a Kids Zone child as well, so it's really special to now be a business owner in Tempe, Arizona, and we are, as you so nicely put it, a photo activation agency, so we do events in Arizona and nationwide, and when we found out about Nick and Local First Arizona and the sustainability programs they're offering to small businesses, we obviously had to jump on board. So we have learned so much from Local First. If you are a business owner or you know a business, please check out Local First. Totally transforming the way we do business in Arizona. So thank you. I'm so grateful for your guidance and everything. And thank you, Corey, for recognizing me. So.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, I don't know if I can follow any of that up. But working. I'm just going to say that working with Jessie has been just such a learning experience for me too. Jessie not only wanted to make sure that she was doing the most that she could in her business, she really wants to help the whole industry in Arizona. She wants to help the events industry become as sustainable and resilient as possible. And I think kind of stepping outside of your own business to make sure that everybody else is okay in the community says a lot about Jessie and her team. So it's just been such an awesome experience working with you and looking forward to more of that. Yeah.
And I have one other thing.
Yes, please.
We just found out that we are a certified supplier for the Super Bowl coming next year. So I'm going to rep Tempe, hopefully, at the Super Bowl. So we're very excited about that.
Love it. Congratulations. Council, you want to join me very quick for a photo?
Oh, wow, guys. Normally, I'm not in front of the photos. No, this is weird. Yeah, it's a great program. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. However you guys want to go.
However you want. Your day.
Yes, closer.
Two big smiles.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jesse, and seriously, congratulations on that Super Bowl certification. Really, really looking forward to big things. All right, and I've got one more announcement upstairs. No pictures? Oh, no. The knee is not doing too bad, actually. I appreciate that. Got a little bit of a knee issue going on here, but I'm surviving. So the last announcement I have is actually regarding Melanoma Awareness Day, and I've got a proclamation I want to read. So whereas 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer in their lifetime, approximately 9,500 people in the United States are diagnosed with skin cancer every day. And whereas the American Academy of Dermatology has designated the first Monday in May as Melanoma Monday to raise awareness about skin cancer. And whereas we provide resources and information to reduce the number of melanoma diagnosed ahead of the summer months. And whereas focus on sun safety and tanning prevention by wearing sunscreen, protective clothing, and avoiding sun and tanning bed exposure. And whereas promote regular skin cancer screenings through self-examination and/or dermatologists to check for abnormal moles. And whereas the most important warning sign for skin cancer is a spot of the skin that is changing in size, shape, or color. And whereas in the city of Tempe, Arizona, we encourage our citizens to promote skin cancer detection and prevention, and I publicly salute the service of dermatologists in our community and in communities across the nation. Now, therefore, I, Corey D. Woods, Mayor of the City of Tempe, Arizona, do hereby declare May 2nd, 2022 as Melanoma Awareness Day in Tempe, Arizona. Thank you. All right. That's fun. Yeah, it's very fun. What's the sound there? That's it. All right. Next up, item 5A4, Board, Commission, and Committee appointments and reappointments. So there are appointments to the city's Audit Committee, Family Justice Commission, Merit System Board, Neighborhood Advisory Commission, and Veterans Commission as outlined in item 7A1 on the agenda. Next up, I've got item 5B, City Manager's reports and announcements. Mr. City Manager, any announcements this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a couple of announcements. We have first, Smith Innovation Hub and Maker District Design Guidelines. We have staff coming up for that. Thank you.
You can. Or actually, thanks, Jason.
You're welcome. Sorry, let me just get this going. Oh, no, sorry. Bear with me a second here. Okay. Which one are you doing again? It's there it is. Sorry. No problem. There you go. There you go.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us this evening. I'm Jill Bushbacher with Economic Development. Along with me this evening is the other project manager for this project with me, Ambika Adhikari with Community Development. And we're going to be speaking with you about the Smith Innovation Hub and Maker District Design Guidelines this evening, just briefly. And we also would like to acknowledge our consultants that have been hired to help develop these guidelines. Architect John Kane and his talented team are working with us on this project. So just really quickly, I'm going to introduce a little bit about these existing areas that are covered in the Design Guidelines project, talk a little bit about the public outreach that we've done, and then my colleague here, Ambika, will be speaking about how it's organized, kind of the impacts of it, and some of the next steps. So 2 of the areas that we're focusing on for this project are 2 of our innovation hubs, which is an initiative that you all approved in 2018 that was brought forward by Economic Development, identifying 8 different employment corridors as opportunities for placemaking, job creation, and new investment. And these 2 particular areas are somewhat known as industrial, but have started to organically change and add other uses over time. And really, part of the reason that we pursue this economic development initiative of the innovation hubs is really to attract and retain the quality workforce now and into the future. So the Smith Hub differs somewhat from the Maker District. It's surrounded on 3 sides by residential, it's surrounded only to the south by residential, and the assets around it are quite impressive. ASU to the west of it, Tempe Marketplace to the north, Rio 2100, a new development just to the north of it, and it's close to the Mesa Tempe border with the development there with Sloan Park and Union. The area has been known for industrial initially. It was former County Island, and it has a lot of different uses currently: manufacturing, construction, consumer products, advanced business and office uses, and the office and retail uses have expanded and organically come into the area over the last several years. Its proximity to the highways, the airport, and the next route for the streetcar also make it very attractive and of interest to us. The Maker District is a little bit different. It has larger lots, larger employers. It's been a little bit more food-centric, and it's surrounded on 3 sides by residential. Hospitality to the west, and it has excellent proximity to the airport and the highways, and also to ASU. It's between Broadway and Southern and Priest, and to the east it aligns with the railroad or close to Kyrene. Some of the outreach that we've done started in January of this year. We went to some of the commissions, as you see, Arts and Culture, Sustainability and Resilience, and the Development Review Commission. We also held some public meetings and had excellent responses and attendance at those, and to an online survey. We've also worked closely with our planning staff, Arts and Culture staff, and transportation staff, so we want to acknowledge them and thank them for their assistance with this project as well. Some of the highlights of that outreach include interest in incorporating breweries and restaurants in these areas, public art installations, and improvements to the walkability of these areas. Now I'd like to turn it over to Ambika Adhikari.
Thank you, Jill. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Very briefly, the guidelines are actually the next step of the Smith Industrial Hub development guidelines that were approved by the Council in 2019. And also the Council approved the general plan amendment both for the Smith and also the Maker District in 2019. So these are the kind of next steps. And these documents are policy level and advisory. They are not regulatory. They do not change any property right. And these are meant to be for use by the project proponent who wants to make a proposal for the projects, or the architects and the city staff and the DRC and the council, to make sure that anything that comes in is compatible with the existing character. And to make sure that the residential that are allowed are also compatible with the existing character. These documents are about 70 pages each. They're going to be 2 documents. They look like this in color. And then each one of them will actually have, we can go to the next one. Each one of them will have 7 chapters. I don't have to read them. And each of the chapter, let's go to the next one. Each of the chapter will have a preamble, a very short, just a couple of sentences. And then it will have goals, a list of goals that are consistent with the development guidelines and the general plan amendment. And then the list of the design guidelines and the operational guidelines. The design guidelines are meant to be checked for the actual design of the building and the facilities. And the operational guidelines are the long-term for the city and the managers of the building. So we have like 3 examples out of those 71 pages that I just talked about. Some of the pages that have like the images on what we want and how we list the design guidelines. And when we review any new proposals, how we actually match them against what we want. So that's page number 2. That's page number 3 out of the so many pages that we have. Now on the next one. So we will be taking these documents. We are finalizing them as we speak. And we got a lot of these from the public meeting and the previous studies and the staff's own technical requirements. We go to the Development Review Commission on the 24th. These documents become public on the 17th. We'll be happy to send you a copy so that you can take a look at the whole document. And then we'll come to you on June 23rd for the final decision, hoping that it will be approved. So staff contacts is Jill and I, and then we have architect and as the consultants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Vice Mayor Keating.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you both for your work on this. The Maker District is obviously very close to my heart, so I'm very excited to see this and look forward to approving your very good work here in June. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Keating. Councilmember Arredondo Savage.
You know, I know it's been a long time in the making, and I just, not to make any puns on that, Randy. So, not because it's the Makers District, but just to say, I mean, this has just been a really great collaborative effort. I want to say thank you both for leading the way and really getting us to a place where I think this is super exciting, especially for those individuals that want to be a part of those different districts in the future. This, to me, just really paves the way and talks about what our expectations are and what we're looking for and what's really going to complement the area. So I am like like the Vice Mayor, very excited about seeing this finally come to fruition, and just really know that it's going to be very advantageous as we move forward. So thank you guys very much for your work. I know it's been a long time coming, so thank you for everything that you do, and everybody else that participated, and all the stakeholders and all the input and all the feedback that we've gotten over the last couple of years. It's really certainly made a difference, but you've been able to pull this together and create these really great documents, and thank you for not reading the 7 chapters. I appreciate you not doing that, but this is perfect and this is great, and I know people will be very excited. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Councilmember Adams.
Yes, thank you. You two make a great team, and I'm just really pleased with this project moving forward. And I also really want to commend you for including the neighborhoods and all the outreach that you've done to really find out what they want. And so I just keep up the great work.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Anyone else from council? Further comments or questions? Sounds good. Thank you. Ambika, thank you,
Thank
Jill.
you.
Really appreciate it. Mr. City Manager, any other announcements?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have another announcement, and it is utility permit issuance. Staff's coming up for that.
It happens, you know, every now and then.
Of course. Let's get this pulled up here. And it is this guy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Julian Dresang. I'm the city engineer for the city of Tempe. I'm real excited today to have we give a quick presentation from Bashir Hassan, who is our utilities manager. He oversees our dry utilities team. Was it? Sure. All right. I was going to let him take the show, but I will let him continue to do that. So not too long ago, 4 years ago, we were in a situation where we were getting a number of complaints from our residents, from our community, from the partners that we work with in dry utilities. We realized that we needed to make some change, and we were able to bring Bashir in. He's really taken control of that program. The amount of complaints have dropped significantly. His team works really hard to go out there and make sure that we're providing great service to the residents of Tempe. And so you're going to see in today's presentation just a quick update on what his team is doing, and I'll let Bashir take it from here.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. As Julian said, my name is Bashir Hassan. I'm the senior civil engineer overseeing the dry utilities team in engineering and transportation department. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this evening about the scope and the mission of the dry utilities team. The scope of the team is to grant permission for placement and maintenance of dry utilities in the right-of-way or the public utility easement by issuing a permit. And the mission of the team is to protect the city right-of-way and reduce the impact new utilities have on existing city infrastructure, such as water and sewer mains. The utility companies that operate within the city right-of-way are telecommunication companies, electrical companies, and gas companies. The type of permits we normally issue are all kind of telecommunication boxes in the right-of-way you normally see, main transmission lines, small wireless facilities. You probably have seen some of these pop up all over the, in your neighborhoods, if not in your front yard. Gas companies and informational kiosk. You probably have seen some of these and recently pop up all over downtown areas. The team consists of myself and 3 senior inspectors, Sean Abashan, Freddie Garcia, and Evelina Wilson. In fiscal year 2021, the team issued 754 permits. These 754 permits installed nearly 57 miles of conduit in the right-of-way, and the team reviewed over 1,900 plan sheets. The number of permits the team reviewed and issued almost doubled since 2017, while the team significantly improved customer satisfaction. Nearly 70% of the permits are issued within 20 working days. In fiscal year 2021, the city collected over $1.2 million in permit fees. The team impacts several city council performance measures, city council approved performance measures, including pavement quality index, rehabilitation of infrastructure, ADA accessibility, and travel time index. The challenges of the team are utility relocations remain a leading cause for delaying to CIB projects. Getting utility companies to repair their aging infrastructure in a timely manner. Impact we have on city infrastructure, especially water and sewer. Getting utility companies to remove their abandoned poles in the right-of-way. Pavement restorations as it relates to pavement quality index, and small wireless facilities in residential areas, especially in front yards. Any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Councilmember Adams.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I really like it that you're in this position and doing the coordination and all that. For a lot of years, we didn't coordinate with other agencies, and we'd put fresh payment down and then cut it right away. So I'm really glad that they're doing this. It saves a lot of money and it makes our residents, I'm sure, a lot happier. I have gotten a lot of complaints about the utility boxes, like being knocked over or in the neighborhoods, and like, who should someone call if they have that problem?
Me.
Okay. What's your phone number? Your work number.
I will provide that to you. I don't have it off the top.
Okay. All right. That'd be great.
We'll
Thank
provide
you.
that. Yeah, definitely they should contact me.
Okay. That's super helpful. So I really appreciate it. Good job.
Thank you. That was a very concise answer. Me. I love it. All right. Anything else, or?
No, thank you.
Council members, any other further comments or questions?
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Appreciate
much.
the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. City Manager, any other announcements?
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Next up, we have item number 6, public appearances. According to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the City Council may only discuss matters listed elsewhere on this agenda for discussion and legal action. The purpose of the open call to the public is to allow individuals to address the City Council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the City Council. Public appearances shall be limited to an aggregate total of 60 minutes. No person shall speak more than once, and there is a limit of 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers present at the podium must state their name and city of residence and provide a speaker card. Members of the public shall refrain from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks and from becoming boisterous while addressing the City Council or while attending the meeting. Speakers will be taken first come, first serve in the order in which the cards are received. Speakers not choosing to appear in person or virtually may provide their written comments to council prior to the meeting for their review. Speakers' visual aids and appearances by phone or recordings are not allowed. Council members are prohibited by state law from taking action on, commenting, or discussing a matter raised by a member of the public, even if asked to do so by a member of the public, so long as the subject discussed by the speaker is not listed as a specific agenda item for council's consideration for discussion and legal action. At the conclusion of public appearances, the council may ask the city manager to review a matter or place a matter on a future agenda. So I will go ahead and start with my live appearances, and I'll go to the virtual ones right after that. And the first one I have on my list here is Susan Edwards. Please come up and state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the City Council.
So I caught in your review there that we'd be standing in front of the podium, which is over there, so I'll bring them. Just sit here?
Yep, perfect.
Can you hear me? Mayor Woods and City Council, you were all elected to work as a team to govern and address the problems of your constituents. You were elected to work cohesively with others whose personalities you may or may not like. I finally received my public information request. As expected, it showed Garland's accusations to be without merit. 2 of the accusations were so baseless they weren't even investigated. I did learn that Councilwoman Savage joined Garland in her accusations of public intoxication against Adams. They described Adams' onstage enthusiasm for our city as an embarrassment, complete with descriptions of how her exuberant body language, which many of us are familiar with and appreciate, indicated to them that she was intoxicated because they viewed her behavior as, and I quote, animated, clingy, and annoying. Their interviews were disappointing in that they read like a 6th grade mean girl text exchange. What is notable is that not one of the hundreds of onlookers referenced by both Garland and Savage filed a single complaint, just them. I am left wondering how many thousands of dollars our city spent to do this investigation via a third party over behavior described as animated, clingy, and annoying. The investigator's impeccable credentials were almost as long as the report, which indicates he wasn't cheap and that if there was any dirt, he'd find it. He didn't. His conclusion was that the accusations were subjective and unsubstantiated. So after this subjective and unsubstantiated ugliness, I'd like to know how you can all move forward and solve problems on our behalf. Is Adams expected to pull that knife out of her back and lend the benefit of her 30 years working for the city to Garland and Savage? The answer is yes. I even think she'll pull it off, which says everything about her priorities governing for us, as opposed to the priorities Garland and Savage have displayed. Garland and Savage, let's see you do better than this. Quit wasting the city's budget on petty backstabbing and build up your team members instead of trashing them. Try following Adams' leadership of putting aside your personal feelings for someone and serve as the team member you were elected to be in order to solve problems on behalf of your constituents. I know in my heart, you are both better than this. Thank you for your time. And by the way, I really like the new VM car that's going around May 20th. Well done.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Appreciate it. Next up, we have David Prince. Please come up and state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the City Council.
Hi, I'm a resident of Tempe, 15 years, worked here 8 out of the last 15. I live over on Hardy. There's an event that's held in JC Park every Tuesday, and a third-party vendor is allowed to feed the drifters or homeless folk, and it's grown 8-10 times over the past 3 years, and it's outgrown the park. It overwhelms the neighborhood. I'm here to ask the city to end it or move it to a larger space outside of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prince. Appreciate it. Yes. Councilmember Navarro?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mr. City Manager, can we possibly look into or agendize something to discuss this? Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next card I have is from Mario Martinez. Please come forward and state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the City Council.
Good evening. My name is Mario Martinez, and I live in Tempe, Arizona. Okay. Since March 6th, by way of official Tempe emails, once a week I've been requesting civil rights information from Corey, and I have received 0 response. That is why I'm here. Okay. For the record, once again, Corey, here is the background and my summarized question to you. According to the evidence presented by the Tempe Outside Attorney Report, your political supporter, Kobe Granville, sexually assaulted a 17-year-old minor and raped another minor after he illegally got her drunk while he was serving on the council with you during your second council term. Okay, as this enclosed excerpt from the Phoenix Police Department indicates, Lauren was also aware of the grave sexual improprieties by Granville while you were on the council. Lauren later encouraged the victim, once again according to the report, to report the incident to the police. Although I did not find out about this incident from Lauren, I found out about this incident around March 8th, 2016, when the Tempe council elections were going on and you were serving the last few months of your second term. Once again, for the public record, Corey, what did you know about Granville's actions as far as sexual improprieties such as sexual assault and sexual harassment while you were serving on the council with him? That concludes my emailed question. Now, speaking both as a Tempe taxpayer and a devoted parent of teenage children, when a City of Tempe employee rapes a minor or kills a minor, I can't imagine anything more serious. You cherry-picked the issues of a minor getting killed, and now the alleged KKK membership of former council members from 100 years ago. During the same time frame, you have failed to publicly address Granville's sexual abuse, which occurred when you served on the council with him. Corey, on this issue, you failed to show up. I want an answer here. The only reason I am addressing you today, right now, is because you failed to show up on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Next up, we have Gail Shanks. Please come forward and state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the City Council.
Hi, my name is Gail Shanks, and I live at 244 East Alameda Drive, and I am the co-owner of Changing Hands Bookstore, which just celebrated 48 years of being in business. I know there is no opportunity to really have a conversation with you tonight, so I'm really here to just put a bug in your ear. And that bug is about funding for the Super Bowl. I understand that you're considering adding another $188,000 to the already allocated $300,000 that the Tempe Tourism Office is giving the Super Bowl host committee. After listening to the budgeting conversation at your last work session and realizing how important many of those supplemental issues that you brought up are to me, I'm wondering why, given the limited funds we have, you'd consider adding $188,000 more to money for the Super Bowl. Wouldn't it be better for the city at large and all of our residents to fund more human service projects? Did you consider surveying residents about whether we'd like money to be allocated for the homeless or food insecure instead of Super Bowl promoters? Might we at least have a public meeting to discuss whether this bonus money is a good use of our tax dollars? I'm curious to know if you or previous councils surveyed the 43 businesses who participated in the Super Bowl in 2015 and asked them how they did and if they felt it was worth their while, and if they thought the money Tempe contributed was worth the investment. When Changing Hands was downtown, and this was a long time ago for Super Bowl 30, and the event was held at ASU, we nearly went out of business. Literally, 2 weeks, no sales. we would have been better off to take an offer that a souvenir company made us to give us $10,000 and have us move our books out of the way, and they would sell T-shirts and other paraphernalia because we had no customers. Their parking was limited. The events were not events that our local citizens could get to, and we just basically had no sales for 2 weeks. And curiously, in 2015, when the Super Bowl was again in Arizona, our sales were exactly the same as they'd been in 2014. So we saw no benefit from that. Does that mean I'm running out of time?
Yeah, I'll give you another 30 seconds if you want to finish.
Thank
so-
you, thank you.
Mhm.
Few of our colleagues downtown beyond bar owners would have told you that they made extra money as locals stayed away and tourists weren't interested in their businesses. Nearly all Tempe residents who did bid on Super Bowl contracts didn't get them. They went to out-of-state or large commercial caterers. Please consider that Glendale is a 45-minute drive from the East Valley, and the potential benefit for our local community is a nebulous and far-fetched dream. How much extra money beyond $500,000 does Tempe think it can recoup from this investment? Again, is the proverbial seat at the table worth that much? And what else could we be doing with the money is what I want to ask. It just seems to me that there's a lot of things we could do with $500,000. And I would love to see that happening. You know, the spring is snowbird season, and all of those hotels are going to be full. And even if the snowbirds weren't here with the Super Bowl, they're going to fill up, and that we would have to pay $500,000 to get those same hotel rooms filled up when they're already going to be filled up just doesn't make any sense to me. Lastly, I want these financial issues to be considered when you think about the Coyotes coming to Tempe too. That's a conversation obviously for another day, and believe me, you will see me sitting here again to talk to you about the Coyotes. But it is one with similar considerations and dire implications for all of us who live and work and play in Tempe. And again, it's a bug in your ears is all I'm asking, and thanks so much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Shanks,
Yes.
appreciate it. All right, next up, I will turn to my virtual speakers here. I've got 4 in the queue. The first one is Benjamin Bossler. Mr. Bossler, if you could please state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the City Council.
Mr. Bossler, you've been unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Bossler, we can.
Can you hear me? Oh, thank you.
You
Okay,
got it. So please state your name and place of residence, and you have 3 minutes to address the City Council.
thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Ben Bossler. I'm currently a resident of Chandler. I am here on behalf of Voter Choice Arizona, a nonprofit organization helping to bring ranked choice voting to Arizona, with over 100 members in Tempe and thousands of supporters statewide. One of our members is actually one of your members, Councilmember Lauren Kuby, serves on our advisory board. In the March 23rd Tempe City Council work study session, Councilmember Kuby proposed having the city clerk gather more information regarding ranked choice voting to prepare the council for a decision to add an issue review agenda item regarding adopting ranked choice voting in future city elections. While there was no council consensus to proceed, we would like to offer you more information to open your mind toward considering it again in the near future. Tempe's 2022 election had 3 city council seats available and 7 candidates. The ballot instructions were to choose up to 3. Those directions do not sound complicated, but 37% of voters undervoted by choosing less than 3 candidates. Ranked choice voting would be a simple upgrade to our elections that allowed voters to rank all of the candidates in their order of preference, rather than being limited to selecting one candidate for each available office. With ranked choice voting, voters would have been able to put all 7 of the candidates on the 2022 ballot in their order of preference, or could have chosen to select only the candidates that they wanted to see win. RCV improves on Tempe's current system because it allows voters to express their actual preferences rather than choose a compromise candidate. It also eliminates the so-called wasted vote problem and spoiler effect that occurs when several candidates run for the same office. Best of all, RCV can do this, can do all of this with one election instead of two. That means RCV can save the city money, save the candidates money, reduce campaign sign blight, and allow candidates to spend more time on issues rather than campaigns. RCV would be a win-win for voters and candidates. RCV also protects and extends diversity among candidates and gives voters more voice and more choice. So how does it work? Well, we all naturally know how to rank things. If you had to choose among Coke, Pepsi, or 7-Up, which would be your first, second, or third choice? RCV brings this idea to voting by giving voters the option to rank candidates in their order of preference. If their first choice candidate gets the fewest votes, that candidate is eliminated and their vote is counted towards their second choice candidate. This instant runoff process continues until a candidate receives a majority or more than half of the votes. That candidate, supported by a majority of voters, is the winner. Ranked choice voting isn't new, and it has been gaining support in recent years. Currently, over 30 cities use ranked choice voting in their elections, and that number is growing rapidly. It is also used in statewide elections in Maine and Alaska, and by numerous other groups from the Republican Party in Utah to the Democratic Party in Delaware. Cities in similar size to Tempe, which use RCV, include Salt Lake City, Utah, Las Cruces, New Mexico, and Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Mr. Bossler, all right, your time is up. I can give you another like 15, 20 seconds to wrap up.
Okay, great. As I'm sure you know, election costs keep increasing. Because voters can express their full list of preferences on a single ballot, there is no need to call voters to vote once in a primary and again in a general. RCV performs an instant runoff and eliminates the need for a second expensive election. In sum, Tempe should adopt RCV because it's a better way to elect you than our current system and will save both you and the city of Tempe money. Thank you for your time. Both myself and Voter Choice Arizona are happy to answer any questions now or in the future and are more than happy to be a resource on this topic.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Bossler. Really appreciate it. Okay, next speaker I've got in the queue is Bastian Andrew.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, Bastian, please state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the City Council.
Good evening, Mayor Woods and members of the City Council. My name is Bastian Androuet, and I'm currently a resident of Phoenix, but a former resident of Tempe for almost 10 years. Tonight, I speak before you on behalf of the Arizona Multi-Housing Association. As you are aware, the AMA represents the owners, operators, and developers of over 348,000 rental housing units across the state of Arizona, many of which are located here in Tempe. The AMA would like to express concern over the proposed ordinance number 02022.12, mandating security plans for multifamily properties. Prior to the drafting of this ordinance, to our knowledge, there was no outreach conducted between city staff and stakeholders, namely the multifamily property managers and owners directly impacted by the changes in this ordinance. As a result, there are several areas of concern, conflict, and ambiguity. The AMA would respectfully request that prior to consideration of adoption of this ordinance, staff meet with impacted stakeholders to review and clarify any conflicts or issues which may be created by the new ordinance. More specifically, the details surrounding which properties are being targeted by the ordinance, the violations and penalties being assessed, the associated liabilities for individuals and entities, as well as the subjective nature of the review and intervention processes are all causes of concern for the AMA members. It should be noted that the AMA worked closely with the city in 2014 when this prior ordinance was originally conceived. We believe that a working partnership between law enforcement and rental housing providers is critical to not only crafting an ordinance that gives both law enforcement and housing providers the tools necessary to prevent nuisance activities, but also to ensure that housing providers who are themselves victims of nuisance activities are not unintentionally penalized. To this end, we respectfully request that you hold this ordinance until stakeholder meetings between the city and industry representatives occur. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, quick question about that. Is there a way, what time are we taking action on that item, or is there time to do any outreach or make a contact on that, or?
Yeah, I believe today is the introduction and first public hearing.
Okay.
So there's clearly time between this meeting and the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, if we could have someone maybe from staff reach out and have a conversation, I think that would be good. So.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, the next speaker, and I apologize if I mess up the name a little bit, is I believe David Romaya, and if that's incorrect, please correct me, sir.
It is actually Romay.
Romay, okay. Mr. Romay, thank you so much, really appreciate it. Please state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the council.
I'm David Romay, and I do reside in the city of Tempe, in the downtown area, for about 2 years now. before I start actually with what I wanted to say, can we do something about the transmission on the TV? It's a little bit late behind the actual meeting on WebEx. And it would be really great if you could do something about that in the future. So that's one. The other thing is actually the point that I wanted to address, which is basically the impact of any kind of like business in the city of Tempe on what the neighborhood can go through, and especially when it comes to real estate and the values. This came to my attention lately because of an actual lawsuit that I should not name any names in it. But apparently, the surrounding area, your certain business, suffered from residents in say hotels or even like residential quarters complaining, and it made the actual place where they're residing not livable. Accordingly, they had to be moved around or given discounts or completely refunds. And that actually affects the businesses. I was wondering, knowing that the city actually has kind of been relaxed about it, if there's anything that can be done. In the past, we have had actually where I live sort of a problem, and the city got involved and resolved the issue. And the owner of the business was also very cooperative. So I hope that that is the more approach that the city would take in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Romay. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Sonia Martinez Romay.
Oh, there I am.
There you
Yes.
are. Yes, please state your name and place of residence. You have 3 minutes to address the City Council.
There I am. Yes, it's Sonia Martinez Romay. I live in downtown Tempe, right smack dab in the middle of it all. And yes, so that's where I'm at. I wanted to address the point of ordinances and city ordinances and noise ordinances in particular. We had noted that in the case of a recent lawsuit that the city had decided to file an amicus brief on behalf of the owner of said business. Also, too, that when reviewing the now city ordinances, it appears that several of those ordinances were appealed. And I was not noting that there had been any public input on that at all. And so my question is what is the process when ordinances are repealed, and especially ordinances that benefit one person more than the rest of the surrounding community? And does the public have input on that? And can we, in the case of this one, object to the amicus brief that's being written to the Superior Court on behalf of one business? Also, to tie on to David's point, one of the provisions of the original permit was that this business could go forward with live entertainment if it did not devalue the surrounding properties. But what's happening is properties are being devalued for the fact that hotels have to give refunds, for the fact that people are moving out. They cannot have people in their home. It's a life thing. And I found that to write a brief on behalf of this one person does not adequately represent the entirety of the city. And that I wanted to remind the council that you're all elected to represent all of us. And we need to have input in items like this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Romay. Question, I guess, for Mr. City Manager, Madam City Attorney. Is there a way to reach out to the Romays after this meeting to kind of explain what that process looks like when an ordinance is repealed, or just to sort of talk about the process a little bit with them? Because I know we did it within the last 3 or 4 months, but just would love to have that conversation with them if possible.
Mayor, on behalf of the City Attorney's Office, I would be very happy to have that conversation.
Wonderful. I really appreciate it, Ms. Blaine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. That concludes all of the cards that I have this evening. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to come forward to address the council? And if so, please come forward and state your name and city of residence for the record. All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close that portion of the meeting. And I will move on to item number 7, which is the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be considered as a group and will be enacted with one motion by the City Council unless an item is removed for separate consideration. Members of the public may remove public hearing items for separate consideration. Public hearing items are designated as public hearing item at the beginning of the item title. Council members may remove any item for separate consideration or to declare a conflict of interest. If a council member would like to declare a conflict at this time, the city clerk will provide the council member with a disclosure form. If you wish to speak on a public hearing item, please fill out a speaker card located next to the city clerk and submit your completed card back to the city clerk prior to the agenda item coming forward for council discussion. I will call your name when it is your turn for public comment. The consent agenda this evening consists of miscellaneous items 7A1 through 7A18, awards of bids and contracts 7B1 through 7B24, and resolutions items 7C1 through 7C18. Any agenda item designated as public hearing item can be removed by a member of the public for separate consideration. If anyone would like to have a public hearing item removed, please get my attention now. I'll go to the public first. Ms. Gitlis, please.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Item 7C7, I think it is.
Okay. I'll write that down. Item 7C7, thank you so much. Any other members of the public wish to have anything else removed? All right, seeing none, I will turn to my colleagues. I know that Councilmember Garland requested item 7C13 be removed for separate consideration. Councilmember Adams.
Yes, I'd like to remove 7B15 for consideration.
7B15, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other items that council members would like to remove for separate consideration? All right, seeing none, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items 7B15, 7C7, and 7C13 that have been removed for separate consideration.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Vice Mayor Keating and seconded by Councilmember Cubie. Please vote.
Aye.
There it is. All right, and I heard Councilmember Garland vote aye as well, so that item passes 7-0. So next we will go to the items that were pulled for separate consideration, starting with item 7B15, and I will read that here. Item 7B15 is to award a 2-year contract with 3 one-year renewal options to Smith Craft Signs to design and install new monument signage for City of Tempe parks, golf courses, sport complexes, and additional sites as needed. And this was pulled by Councilmember Adams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I received some feedback regarding the signs at Corbell Park being really past their age. And I just want to perhaps suggest that we have a sign process for when the signs are getting past their useful life, that they are put in a queue and replaced without having to have people complain to us, and just kind of try to stay ahead of it, if you will. Just like you would with any kind of management of assets.
Sounds good.
So just kind of prevent this in the future. Thank you.
You got it. I'll look to Mr. City Manager for a comment on that.
Thank you for the suggestion. With this design process and hiring this consultant, the intent is a redesign. So there will be new signs over the next several years, monument signs at the parks. I think most of our residents are familiar with the kind of signs we've had for decades. So if we're going to do something like this, to Councilmember Adams' point, there's going to be a public process to get input on sign design and things like that. So absolutely, this is a good opportunity. Thank you.
Do we know when the Corbell Park is going to be replaced, the signs?
I spoke to staff about that when the concern came up. We had inventory of like replacements. It's this aggregate style slab aggregate. And as I remember correctly, I think they were either going to see what they had in stock or fabricate. There were parts of that sign. The Corbell Sign Park is the part that's unique to the park because it's actually chiseled in with the name of the park. The other parts are modular. I think that was the part that was going to take some time because there were cracks in the chiseled part. I don't have an exact estimate. I know that staff was looking into that for us, and I'll get an update to council.
Okay, that'd be great. I appreciate that, Mr. City Manager.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilmember Adams.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on item 7B15? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve item 7B15? That's been moved by Councilmember Navarro and seconded by Vice Mayor Keating. Please vote. Councilmember Garland? Councilmember Garland? I'll try one last time here. Councilmember Garland? Okay. That item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Garland absent. All right. Next item is item 7C7, which is to adopt a resolution to accept a facade conservation easement for the Mouchette Revocable Trust and to waive the fees for a lot split and zoning map amendment for the Butler House located at 1220 South Mill Avenue. Ms. Gitlis, I know you wanted this item pulled for separate consideration. Please come up and state your name, place of residence, and you've got 3 minutes to address the council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is, I know, and apologize for the fact that this is very last minute. My name is Karen Gitlis. I reside at 1206 South Ash Avenue and am a longtime neighborhood leader. The facade easement under consideration tonight will preserve the historic Butler House at 1220 South Mill for at least 5 years. Unfortunately, it comes at the expense of a property lot split, and that will allow a house to be built on the alley, facing the alley. I am not aware of any other place in our neighborhoods around here where this exists. The house will be street numbered on the alley, addressed, need address pickup and mail delivered to the alley. The alley will become a public traffic right-of-way and require city services. It will lead to problems and set a precedent. I am only bringing this up, and I simply want to let you know that I am very recently, this is why it's so late in the day, finding out that there is opposition to granting of this easement on the part of some residents. I don't even have an idea of the number of residents that are disturbed about this, but they object strongly for a number of reasons. And so I wanted to let you know that this opposition to this easement is out there because of what it will allow in terms of uses on the alley, and leave that for your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gitlis. Really appreciate it. Councilmember Navarro.
Could we have staff or someone to kind of present on this just to get it up?
Sure, absolutely. I think I see Ryan Levake coming forward, so. Ryan, question for you too. I don't want to usurp your presentation, but I was curious, some of the issues that Ms. Gitlis talked about some of her neighbors raising, are there ways that you think we could figure out kind of a solution to some of those issues that might alleviate the challenges?
Mayor Woods, certainly, we certainly do that, and I'll let you know too, there's a public hearing process before this, before we actually institute a lot split and the zoning map amendment, which is intended to take the historic overlay designation over the rear half of the lot for the site. So this item came before us back in November of 2021, where the application was made for a demolition permit for this house. Property is designated historic. There's a historic overlay designation that requires HPO review over a request for any modifications, including demolition. We took the demo permit request to the Historic Preservation Commission in December, and they denied the application. What that essentially does is create a 180-day stay of demolition, a time period in which the commission allowed staff to reach out to the property owner and negotiate a potential alternative to demolition of the site. So our goal in mind was to preserve the historic Butler Gray House for the site. We had many conversations with Mr. Mouchette. He provided some suggestions, alternatives. His idea was to redevelop the property and provide maximum profit out of the sale of this potential property. We are trying to consider other alternatives. We gave up several different options, which included having a second unit on the property, which as a R2 zone property, they're allowed to have a second unit. It's very common in the Maple Ash area where you see either an accessory unit or a back unit at the end of the property that is accessible from the alley. The applicant we're in considering whether or not we could purchase the property for future affordable housing needs, but ultimately we ended up at this opportunity for a low-hanging fruit, was to consider a facade conservation easement for 5 years that would then allow us to split the property so that he could build something or sell the property in the rear of the lot for a property investment while preserving the home on the front of the lot. This process meets the technical code requirements of the R2 zoning lot. It requires a minimum 3,600 square foot lot size. The size will be 3,800 square feet. There will be an access easement on the side of the property that allows someone to receive mail delivery service. Most of the, trash and refuse pickup is from the alley. They currently have about 4 or 5 parking spaces off the back of the alley. So this new dwelling, when they process a permit for it, will have at least 2 parking spaces, possibly more for guests. But basically, you'll have a designated area for the property in the front. The access is on Mill Avenue, and then you'll have the rear of the property for this new dwelling unit if it's approved.
Thank you, Ryan. Councilmember Navarro?
Just looking at the map, I see that there's a couple other rear entries. Is there possible up and down the street of other lots that have access on the back?
Yeah, there's a couple other properties in the specific block, as well as throughout the rest of Maple Ash, that do have alley access to their property, either by parking or by accessory units in the back. We do have an example too of a property site that the city originally had that split the lot, that created three new properties for Newtown, McKinney, and these specific properties were developed as single family and were allowed to directly access the alley as their primary frontage.
So this is not out of bounds, is basically.
No, it's been done before. A lot of the additions you see don't typically split the lots, but this is an opportunity where if we do a lot split, there's an opportunity for home ownership, and it also creates actually a 30-foot setback buffer from the Butler Gray House, so that you have a rear property line with a fence line that is 15 feet setback from the home, and then from that property line, any new home or any new dwelling will have to be 15 feet from that property line as well. So it creates a 30-foot buffer.
And so still this has to go through a public process, as you were
Yes,
saying.
that's correct.
And if the public process finds any other issues or anything, this still goes back to the council for.
Correct. So if this is granted to proceed forward, the city will initiate a neighborhood meeting process, will identify the plat process, will set up scheduled hearings for basically the zoning map amendment to remove the historic overlay designation. We're required to go to Historic Preservation Commission.
Here are my notes, period.
Councilmember Garland? Oh, okay, sorry.
And the item will also be required for the final action on the lot split for council, as well as the zoning map amendment in the future.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, yes, Councilmember Adams?
Yes, obviously, what Karen brought up is really important, so I'm very happy that we're going to be doing outreach to the neighborhood and get everyone's feedback. So Karen, I know you can help us with that. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Question, Ryan, too. Do you know at this point, if this is approved this evening, when that public hearing process would start? And of course, just what does that consist of? Is it 2 public hearings and kind of, emailing postcards to residents sort of in the immediate vicinity to get them involved in the process, or?
Yes, so our goal is by early May is to initiate the neighborhood meeting notification process. We can probably have a public hearing by late May. Okay. Get that feedback for the process, kind of outline it, provide further background explanation to the residents that maybe weren't involved in the process of the demolition permit that came before us initially, and kind of explain this process and what could potentially be built on the rear half of the lot.
Okay. And would this be like a 2 public hearing process by chance?
It would be initially a neighborhood meeting, but then we would have a public meeting for any action on the subdivision lot split. Could likely occur in June.
Okay, so there's at least 2 other opportunities to weigh in on this before anything final
And
really
then,
takes
and then
place.
third, the zoning map amendment, which would likely occur like in August or September.
Okay, so 3 different, okay, great, okay, perfect. Yeah, because I think that's my only concern. I agree with Councilmember Adams. I think, Ms. Gitlis raises, some very important issues from the residents of Maple Ash and want to make sure that we're being sensitive to that. I mean, obviously, the city's trying to undertake this to, make sure we, preserve a historic home. And I know, Ms. Gitlis has been a staunch supporter of historic preservation, but I appreciate the fact that she's brought these issues to our attention. But, I'm comfortable if, as you said, there are 3 different opportunities to continue to bring neighbors as part of the process to get their input before anything really happens here. So I wasn't aware of that, but I am now, and that makes me a lot more comfortable.
Thank you. And our goal was certainly utmost importance was preservation of the historic home. And we appreciate Ms. Gitlis's comments and feedback, and we'll continue to work with her.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ryan. Councilmember Cubie.
But it's important to note, it's not preservation of the home, it's just a 5-year facade easement, so.
Not permanent, that's
Right.
correct.
So we are increasing, ostensibly, we're increasing the value of Mr. Mushet's property, right? So he can sell it at a higher profit, and in turn, he's asking for relief of fees and the cost of surveying, which she told me is what, total of $6,000 or something, basically.
Yeah, the cost to the city to conduct the survey is $3,000, and there's a waiver of the application fees for
And
the
the
city
fees are
process.
about the same, you said?
Roughly around $300 to $3,500.
Right, so he's asking for relief of fees and the cost of surveying work, and then as well as approval for the split, which wouldn't necessarily happen, on its own. That's not a guarantee that any council would approve that, or the DRC. In return, we get facade easement for 5 years. And, I'm going to not support this tonight. This community's been through so much trauma related to development. And yes, there's the opportunity to have, a lot more public engagement on it. But to me, I think we could nip it in the bud. So I'll be voting against it tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Cubie. Any other council members, any other comments or questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. All right. This is on the was on the consent agenda this evening. So if anyone else doesn't have any further questions, I can also entertain a motion to approve item 7C7.
Second.
Been moved by Vice Mayor Keating, seconded by Councilmember Adams. Just one quick comment before the final vote. Just once again, definitely appreciate the fact that our city does everything they do to make sure that we preserve historic properties in our community, because once they're gone, they're gone. And so I think we have to do everything we can to keep these structures up and running. And definitely appreciate, I agree with Councilmember Cubie that this neighborhood's obviously had a lot of challenges when it comes to preserving a lot of the historic character and integrity, and just wanted to say how much I appreciate Ms. Gitlis and her stewardship of the neighborhood now, frankly, for decades, and for bringing this to our attention and being so connected to her neighbors that she's able to come here and let us know what's going on. I'm going to be supporting this evening only because we'll have 3 other opportunities to have some public process and make sure that we can get this right. But really wanted to once again, thank you, Ryan, for the presentation, and thank you, Ms. Gitlis, for your stewardship of the neighborhood. Thank you. Councilmember Adams.
Yes, I concur with what you're saying, Mayor. And if we get public input and it's not favorable, then I will not support it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Any other further comments from council? All right, it's already been moved and seconded. Please vote. Councilmember Garland?
Aye.
Oh, there we go. All right. So that item passes 6-1 with Councilmember Cubie voting no. And the last item that's been pulled is item 7C13, which is to adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a donation from Ms. Jenny Norton that will cover tuition and extended care for 12 months of Tempe preschool resource expansion program for 1 student, and create the George Kirk Navajo Code Talker Scholarship to distribute the donated funds. And I know Councilmember Garland wanted to have that pulled for separate consideration, so I'll go to Councilmember Garland and then Vice Mayor Keating.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I just want to say, give out a personal shout out and thank you to Jenny Norton for her donation to start the George Kirk Navajo Code Talker Scholarship for the Tempe program. I am so excited and proud George Kirk is my granduncle, and this is such a great honor for our family. And Jenny has done so many, and Jenny and Bob's done so many things for our community. This is just another one of those amazing things that they have done. And I'm so honored and proud. And I just want to tell Jenny, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Garland. Vice Mayor Keating?
Thank you, Mayor. I just also want to thank Jenny Norton for her generous donation. Tempe Pre, great program, and the more students we can get in it, the better. So I'm certainly very pleased with Ms. Norton's generosity. She also was a primary sponsor of our diabetes walk team as well. So I'm not sure I said that in a public meeting, but she deserves kudos for that as well. She's, a great advocate for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Keating. Councilmember Navarro?
No, just want to give my appreciation to Jenny Norton. I mean, this is outstanding. This is a really cool deal and a really cool scholarship, and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Navarro. Any other council members? Councilmember Cubie.
This scholarship is part of a series of investments that Jenny has been making in the community of late, and she calls it BIPOC Reparations, the Feminine. And it's amazing the impact that some of these actions have occurred in the community. And at some point, I would like to sort of have a presentation of all that has been done in the past couple of years, because it's pretty astounding. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Councilmember Cubie. Councilmember Adams.
Yes, I agree. I mean, you can't say enough good things about Jenny. And I just really personally want to thank her for all of her support, and then thank her for also the community and everything she's done for our community. So thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Either of the council members, further comments? All right. I'll say that as well. Thank you to the Honorable Reverend Jenny Norton for all of her work she's done. Her and Bob Ramsey have done so much for this community and so supported so many incredible causes, and their generosity just frankly knows no bounds. And so I just really appreciate their continued support, and obviously to Councilmember Garland, what a fabulous honor for your family as well. So I know I'm very, very happy for you too, and I know we all are sitting up here. With that said, I'll look for a motion. Moved by Councilmember Navarro.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember
Second.
Adams. Please vote.
Aye.
And that motion passes 7-0. Next up, item number 8, the non-consent agenda. All items listed on the non-consent agenda will be considered separately. Agenda items scheduled for introduction and first public hearing will be heard, but will not be voted upon at this meeting. Agenda items scheduled for second public hearing and final adoption will be voted upon tonight. Council members who may have a conflict of interest may abstain from voting on a matter, and the city clerk will provide the council members with the disclosure form at this time. First up, we have miscellaneous items, bids, contracts, and resolutions. First item under the section is item 8A1. Set a public hearing date of June 9th, 2022 for the Downtown Tempe Enhanced Services Improvement District assessments for fiscal year 2022-2023. Council, any comments or discussion? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion on item 8A1? Moved by Vice Mayor Keating, seconded by Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Navarro absent. Next item under the section is 8A2, which is to adopt a resolution authorizing the annual Community Development Block Grant Home Program and Emergency Solutions Grant Action Plan for fiscal year 2022-2023. The first public hearing was held on February 10th, 2022, and the second and final public hearing was held on March 3rd, 2022. This action replaces the approval received on March 3rd, 2022 during the regular council meeting agenda, item 7C2, to provide for the completion of a 30-day public comment period. What a mouthful. Council, any comments or discussion? Second. It's been moved by Councilmember Arredondo Savage and seconded by Vice Mayor Keating. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 6-0 with Councilmember Navarro absent. The next item under the section is 8A3, which is to adopt a resolution authorizing the annual action plan for the one-time funding associated with the home program received through the American Rescue Plan Act for fiscal year 2022-2023. The first public hearing was held on February 10th, 2022, and the second and final public hearing was held on March 3rd, 2022. Council, any comments or discussion? Moved by Vice Mayor Keating and seconded by Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A4, which is to adopt a resolution providing for the sale and issuance of City of Tempe, Arizona general obligation bonds, Series 2022, authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents, providing for the annual levy of a tax for the payment of the bonds, delegating the authority to approve certain related matters, and authorizing and ratifying related actions, agreements, and documents. Council, any comments or discussion? Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Arredondo Savage and seconded by Councilmember Navarro. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 6-0 with Vice Mayor Keating absent. The next item under the section is 8A5, which is to approve the 6-year contract renewal with the Tempe Convention and Visitors Bureau to provide for tourism-related marketing services. Council, any comments or discussion? Been moved by Councilmember Navarro and seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 6-0 with Vice Mayor Keating absent. All good, Michael. The next item under the section is 8A6, which is to ratify the emergency response cleanup, remediation, and buildings repair expenditures with Belfour property restoration for the Swire Coca-Cola water main break event and response. Council, any comments or discussion? Moved by Councilmember Arredondo Savage, seconded by Councilmember Navarro. Please vote.
Aye.
Can I speak before we vote? Or is it too late? It's too late?
Is it too late, Madam City Attorney?
Mayor, it is not too late because you
All
didn't
right.
complete the voting.
All right, since I've been, okay, so Councilmember Adams.
So I would like to ask the city manager what we're doing to prevent such situations in the future, because it sounded like it was an employee error. And just, would you like to address that to you, Mr. Manager?
You mean right now or at some other time?
What's the procedures for going forward so we don't end up flooding the Coke plant again?
Yeah, the procedure is that we fixed it in cooperation with Swire. The problems that existed subsurface in the piping. This issue revolved around work that was done and completed and permitted. How long ago was it? 2009, so 13 years ago. The way that these things should work is that we have to make sure that when we inspect and permit, that our inspections are accurate and that they are permitted to spec. And I think in this instance, there was concern that that did not happen, which is why we've asked for this. If you make a mistake, we should fix it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm supportive of fixing it. I want to prevent these things in the future. So if we need more inspectors or whatever, because this amount of money could pay for a lot of inspectors if they're not fully staffed or appropriately staffed.
Agreed.
So.
I mean, part of the issue, of course, in these situations is how do you conclude from this instance that this is either typical or atypical? I would say that given the number of inspections that we do in any given year over decades, we have had a handful at most of situations after the fact where we can say that a failure occurred and there's some contribution of our failure to inspect or to adequately inspect that caused the problem. So knowing that, in terms of risk management, you're right. We should do some sort of after action and ask the question, what can we do better? We should always do that. I don't know whether or not I can say that this is some failure. I have not gotten any evidence of that. This appears to be an isolated incident. But again, part of the problem is we're dealing with permitting that occurred years ago. And unless and until something occurs after the fact, we have to assume, most of the time, accurately so, that the permitting process and the inspection process works exactly as it's supposed to. We receive plans, we inspect them, we approve them, we go out and we inspect to make sure that the plans, what's built is what's in the plans. And we do this hundreds and hundreds of times over the course of a year. So my hope is that this is atypical. But again, this is the sort of thing, given the amount, that we should take extra time to go with staff and to make sure that the message is received, that they need to always strive to avoid situations like this. To me, this is a perfect object lesson as to what can happen years after the fact if we don't do our job to the level that we should day in and day out. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Manager. And I am a huge supporter of our inspections program, and I just want to make sure that they have the staffing and the support they need from us. So thank you very much.
Sounds good. Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. And Councilmember Garland, just your vote.
Aye.
Great. Sounds good. And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A7, which is to award a construction contract to Copper State Pavement Incorporated for the pavement preservation FY22 Group 2 project located at various locations around the city. Council, any comments or discussion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilmember Navarro and seconded by Vice Mayor Keating. Please vote. Councilmember Garland?
Aye.
Great, and that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A8, which is to award a professional services contract to Hazen and Sawyer PC for the Tempe Water Utilities Integrated Master Plan Project. Council, any comments or discussion?
So moved.
Moved by Vice Mayor Keating. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Navarro. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A9, which is to approve a change order allowance to Felix Construction Company for the Recharge Well number 2, Phase 2 project located at 800 East Divot Drive. Council, any comments or discussion?
So moved.
Been moved by Vice Mayor Keating and seconded by Councilmember Navarro. Please vote.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A10, which is to award a construction contract to Hayden Building Corporation for the Tempe Municipal Operations Center, GMP number 2, Long Lead Materials Purchase Project located at 2617 West 1st Street. Council, any comments or discussion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Navarro. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Keating. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A11, which was to award job order construction contract addendum number 3 to Achin Gardner Construction LLC and addendum number 4 to FPS Civil LLC and PCL Construction Incorporated to perform on-call underground utility construction services. Council, any comments or discussion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Vice Mayor Keating, seconded by Councilmember Navarro. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A12, which is to approve the utilization of one-year State of Arizona cooperative contracts with Courtesy Auto of Mesa, Courtesy Chevrolet, Don Sanderson Ford, EMV Automotive, Larry Miller Toyota, Midway Chevrolet, O'Reilly Chevrolet, PFVT Motors, DBA Peoria Ford, Santan Auto Partners, LLC Ford, and San Chevrolet for the purchase of 57 vehicles. Council, any comments or discussion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilmember Navarro and seconded by Vice Mayor Keating. Please vote. Councilmember Garland?
Aye.
Great. And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A13, which is to approve a one-year contract renewal with Supreme Oil Company for the purchase of vehicle and equipment fuels for use by the City of Tempe, Tempe Elementary School District, and Kyrene School District. Council, any comments or discussion?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Vice Mayor Keating and seconded by Councilmember Navarro. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 7-0. The last item under the section is 8A14, which is to approve a 2-year contract renewal with Allegiance Benefit Plan Management Incorporated to provide a preferred provider organization medical network and administration services, flexible spending account administration, and consolidated omnibus budget reconciliation act services for eligible city employees and dependents. The correct total cost of this contract will not exceed $33 million, which was listed in the supporting document for item 8A14. Council, any comments or discussion? Been moved by Councilmember Arredondo Savage and seconded by Councilmember Navarro. Please vote.
Aye.
And that item passes 7-0. The next section on the non-consent agenda is ordinances and items for introduction and first hearing. This item will be read and introduced tonight, but no vote will be taken. Second hearing and vote for these items are scheduled for May 26, 2022. So first up, we have 8B, ordinances and items for introduction and first hearing. The first item under the section is 8B1, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance amending the Tempe City Code, Chapter 26, regarding security plans. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion? All right. Just want to reiterate that the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for May 26th, 2022. The next item under the section is 8B2, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance for a zoning map amendment from GID to MU4 and a planned area development overlay, adopt a resolution authorizing a general plan land use map amendment from industrial to mixed use, and a general plan density map amendment from no density, that doesn't make sense. No density to high density urban core, and approve a development plan review for a new 4-story mixed-use development consisting of 395 dwelling units and 3 live-work units for Priest and 3rd Street, located at 1416 West 3rd Street. The applicant is Huell Mantle and Affiliates. Would the applicant like to make a statement?
You know, it's already been a long evening. I'm happy to make a presentation if the council would like, or I'm happy to not. Don't.
Council, would you like a presentation this evening?
Yeah, I think the public would appreciate that.
Okay, sounds good. So Councilmember Cubie's requested one. Mr. Huell Mantle.
Thank you. The site, you want me to give you okay, thanks. The site in question is at 3rd and Priest. You've probably driven by the site, each of you, 1,000 times. Thank you. There you go. I appreciate it. I think you're probably all familiar with the site. It's adjacent to some hotels, and as you can see from this image, pretty important access point into Tempe. Priest Drive is the way many people come into both downtown and the near downtown portions of the city of Tempe. It was many years ago not this way because the 202 didn't exist. At that point in time, this was a large industrial area. Obviously, since that time, the city has made significant changes, including talking about a potential Coyotes arena, but also putting hotels into the area. The site itself has not seen attention in quite some time. It is a pretty barren industrial facility, again, along one of our entryways into Tempe. You can see here that there are residential uses immediately adjacent. It frankly is not a good industrial site any longer. This zooms in on the site. It's roughly 6 acres. Crescent Communities is proposing to build on this site. You may have seen other products they have built in the Phoenix area. They've built all over the country, but certainly the last few years they've been a leader in multifamily in the valley. We have worked to create a site that fills the site adequately and provides relief and lots of landscaping. Go through quickly the elevations. It's important to note that we have been to the DRC and had a unanimous recommendation. We also have a recommendation for support from staff. We have support from Carvana, who is anxious to have more housing and has new office space nearby, and we've had no opposition that I'm aware of. So I'm happy to answer questions or go into more detail. Roughly 400 units, 66 units per acre, but I know you've had a long evening, so if you'd like me to answer questions, I will. Otherwise, I'll be back in a couple of weeks, or maybe a month at this point in time, I think it is.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Huell Mantle. Let me go to Councilmember Adams.
Thank you for the presentation tonight, Mr. Huell Mantle, and I will be supporting this project in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Anyone else? Comments or questions?
I appreciate your time.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item this evening? All right. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion? All right. Seeing none, just want to reiterate that the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for May 26, 2022. The next item under the section is 8B3. It is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 20, Section 2-365 regarding membership on the Tempe Veterans Commission. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close that public hearing. Any council members have any comments or discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll reiterate that the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for May 26, 2022. The last item under the section is 8B4, which is to introduce and hold a public hearing to adopt ordinance number 02022.15 to repeal emergency ordinance number 02020.07 that declared an emergency relating to the COVID-19 public health pandemic. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the City Council on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Council, any comments or discussion? Yes, Vice Mayor Keating.
Mr. Mayor, your iron-fisted rule of this city is rapidly coming to an end.
I know. I just wish I had used it more.
Thank you.
Let's see here. I'm trying to recover after that, Vice Mayor. I appreciate it. That was really good, actually. All right. Any further comments from council or discussion? All right. Once again, I want to reiterate the second and final public hearing of this item is scheduled for May 26, 2022, when my tyrannical reign will come to an end, Vice Mayor Keating. All right. Agenda item 8C1 was read and introduced on March 3rd, 2022, and a vote on this item will be taken this evening. So next up, 8C, ordinance and items for second hearing and final adoption. 8C1 is to hold the second and final public hearing to adopt an ordinance for an amended planned area development overlay, to modify development standards and a development plan review for a new 24-story mixed-use development consisting of 724 units and ground floor commercial uses on Lot 6 for South Pier, located at 1306 East Vista del Lago Drive. The applicant is Gamagen Burnham, PLC. And I see Ms. Vaz at the
Mr.
table.
Mayor. Oh, thanks. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, for your record, Angela Vaz, law firm of Gamagen Burnham. I'm here tonight on behalf of South Pier Tempe LLC. With me is George Malera from Nelson Partners. We gave a pretty thorough presentation last time. I can give a quick presentation tonight if you'd like. Okay. I'll give a quick presentation. So as I think does this work? Yes.
Maybe a brief one, yes. I mean, since
Okay.
we
I
think
think
we've
the
all
Vice
seen
Mayor
it.
nodded at me, so I was going to.
Okay, no.
I didn't realize no presentation was an option.
No, I think we could do a brief one, given the fact that we've had.
But,
a
we've
full
had a
presentation.
couple.
That's
I'll just do a quick one.
I want you to earn money, man.
I know we got-
Yeah, more billable hours.
I know, yeah. I was
your
just
time.
waiting for the Suns game to be over. Suns won, so I can give a presentation now.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. As you all know, this is the property just briefly on the, just north of Rio Salado along the Tempe Town Lake. The property we're talking about today is actually outlined in blue. It's our phase 1, it's lot 6. I won't go through all of it, but as you all know, the properties consist of 7 lots. 3 and 5 are not apart, and we'll be coming back through with different lots as we develop them. But today we're starting with lot 6. Then this is what it currently looks like. Is it was part of an older Pier 202 property, and then when it was developed, at that time the developer went in. They have put in underground, started doing underground parking. All the infrastructure is there, so you can come see kind of the existing infrastructure as you see the lots have been developed. So I'm going to briefly today. Originally it was developed for 3.6 million square feet, 1,484 residential units, 285 hotel rooms. This was the original Pier 202 rendering, and you can kind of see how the lots were developed and in a similar configuration as today. What we have done, and you'll see in Lot 6, and you'll see as we move through kind of all the different lots, that they were taking kind of certainly some of the design, but certainly enhancing the design for the future. And George has done a lot of sustainability. I won't have George talk all about his design, but there's a lot of sustainable features. You'll see large plazas and open space. So today we're asking for a PAD for development Lot 6 and DPR. And what we're talking about over time is 2,500 multifamily units, 160 condos, 250 senior living units. We have 120,000 square feet of retail, 520 hotel rooms over the whole project. So today we're talking about 3 mixed-use towers ranging from 236 to 259 feet. They'll have 724 multifamily residential units, 1,600 square feet of ground level space. And what we're really excited about is the plaza, which I want to show you. It's a 2,100 square foot green central promenade, which you can kind of see here, which kind of connects Rio Salado to the lake. This is something that George has worked on a lot, and it's a really cool part of the project, kind of looking northeast. And I think we talked this with Councilman Navarro last time, just showing you kind of all the enhancements we've done along the lake and working with Dig Studio, who I know you guys all know, who worked with Clark Park to do a lot of the park enhancements to try to really enhance kind of what's happening on the south side of the lake. And again, just more pictures, kind of pocket lawns, our boardwalk. We have unimpeded access from the public pedestrian access to the town lake. And just, I think we have some more, oops, I went the wrong way. Okay, now I may do this wrong. Okay. Well, there's my presentation. Somehow I went, Jason, I might need help to go the other way there. Hold on, forget it. Okay, I'm going to show you some more pictures. Here's some cool pictures. We're really excited about both by the design and the enhancement along the lake, kind of showing the lush landscaping, and then you'll see a lot of activity on the south side of the lake. Some people in kayaks. And just some different materials. Again, the retail space that we try to encourage. You'll see some of that in terms of boardwalks, and you can kind of see what's happening as you along Vestil del Lago to try to encourage people to enhance and come into the project. Oops. And then here's some more pictures, and then retail. So happy to answer any questions. We're really excited, happy to be here.
Thank you, Ms. Boss. Appreciate it. Let me start with Councilmember Adams, then Councilmember Navarro.
Yes, I love this project. I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And I have one question. Is there going to be a dog park anywhere in that area?
George, you want to answer that question?
George Millar with Nelson Partners. Yes, we are anticipating having dog parks within the project for the residents.
Very good. Thank you for including those parks. And I love how many trees and how green it's going to be also, and your little pocket little areas. And so this is just a classy project, and I will be supporting this project this evening. And I do a motion to approve.
Sounds good. Let me do a really quick thing actually before we start. I've realized we didn't do the public hearing process. Does anyone want to come forward and speak on this item? Yes, please.
Okay.
I just realized that I went a little out of order, so my apologies. Would you mind withdrawing your motion for a second? Just for the
Yes,
public
I'll
hearing?
withdraw.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Great. Please come forward and speak, and please state your name, place of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Summer Baker. I've lived in Tempe for quite some time. I actually grew up going to Tempe schools, and with all these buildings that are just being thrown up, that creates a lot more traffic that comes into Tempe. And I know that there's no projects going on right now to expand any of those roads. In fact, you guys took away one road on McClintock to create a bike lane. And I'm telling you, no one's gonna ride their bike in the middle of summer when it's 125 degrees outside. And it's just gonna create more problems, and you're gonna create more. There's an issue with the water right now. If you incentivize all these people to move in here, they're gonna use the water up so quickly. And I don't think this is a very sustainable project. It's just going to create more problems in the long run. So I just wanted to voice, I'm not the only one who thinks that too. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Anyone else wish to come speak on this item this evening? Sure. Let me go to Councilmember Navarro, then Vice Mayor Keating. Actually, let's do this then. So If you want to put your motion back on the table, then.
Yes, I make a motion to approve.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Adams. Do I have a second? Yep, seconded by Vice Mayor Keating, and now we can do comment. So Councilmember Navarro, then Vice Mayor Keating.
No, appreciate the presentation, and thank you for coming up to speak at the podium and let us know about your concerns about the project. I do understand that we are growing not only in Tempe, but we're growing around the valley. And obviously water is an issue, and I want to be sensitive of that. So I do understand the issue on this. Relating to this project, though, I do think it's a good project. I think that what we have been trying to achieve with the lake, we have to obviously the lake was built to enhance the area, and from the enhancement of the area, these projects are starting to develop. These projects also pay for the lake and the lake's fees, and for us and other residents to utilize that lake. So this is a good project to help found it for those foundations of just taking care of the lake and taking care of the property around the lake. The other side of this too is a great job on the retail on the ground floor and design aspect of it. This is going to be another destination space within our city. It's walkable not only from hopefully down towards the Art Center, but also down to the Marketplace. So we really do have an ability to utilize this area. Obviously, I understand there's going to be traffic. With growth, there is going to be traffic, and that's just plain and simple of that, and we recognize that too, and we're also trying to mitigate that. With a project like that, it does help us expand the streetcar. It does help us expand other transportation modes in and around the lake. We are encouraging people to live within the area that they work, and we hopefully give this another opportunity for people to live within the community. So I think that we're trying to hit those goals too. Although we're not going to make everyone happy on this project and how this is going to be done, I think this is still a good project going forward. I was recently just in Austin, Texas, and when you talk about design and design concepts, I was blown away by the types of design concepts they have going on there, and the height of the building and the combinations of different styles. I mean, buildings that look like they're wobbling off, but yet it has pop, it has pizzazz. This is the one part of Tempe that we have control of, one part of Tempe that we can make those designs pop, and I think this does that. I know you have future phases coming on down the road. Keep that in mind, because I think that's a real opportunity to show those trademarks that we see in other cities, and hopefully we'd like to bring them here. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Navarro. Let me go to Vice Mayor Keating, then Councilmember Arredondo Savage.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your comments. I certainly appreciate your concerns about traffic, particularly on McClintock. I will be supporting this project tonight, though. With that being said, I do think kudos to the architect on this. It is absolutely beautiful, and the amenities it's going to bring to the downtown area will certainly be value added to our current and future residents. One of the reasons that I also think this is important is I was watching the local news today. This is something I've been saying for a while, but the rents in the city in the Phoenix metro area have gone up 40% year over year, and this is solely there's inflation, but there's also a supply problem that there's more people moving here than we have available units for, and that's what's driving up largely the rental increases. And if you look at like graphs of new housing units built since really the Great Recession, it has not met up with demand of population growth whatsoever. So that's why we're seeing this housing crunch across the nation. That there's other factors too, right? But that's the primary factor there. So with the addition of these units, we have to add in our downtown urban core as something like 14,000 new units over the next 15 years just to meet up with demand, let alone bending the cost curve down. So, I will be approving this project. I do think it's a good fit. The Councilmember Navarro's point, where we're trying to encourage people as new businesses come in to our downtown area to live where they work. And I think this goes a long way to that. That gets cars off the road, that stops CO2 gases from their exhausts and everything like that, encourages them to walk, bike, or whatever. I think this is a good, important step in that process. So I will be supporting this project, but I just kind of wanted to explain myself a little bit first. Thank you again for your comments.
Great. Thank you, Vice Mayor Keating. Councilmember Arredondo Savage.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Summer, thank you for your comments. I do really appreciate it, and obviously you can tell we all listen and we appreciate your input, and it's really valuable to us as we move forward. I will tell you, I've been on this council now for almost 12 years, and that place has been empty. Around that town lake in that area, it has been one of those things that's kind of been an eyesore, and nothing's really happened. And unfortunately, it was empty for a really long time. And to see some traction and to be able to see this iconic new development is, to me, pretty exciting. And it was always the intent to have a lot of development around the lake. Like Councilmember Navarro mentioned, that was always the intent, to help drive our economic development and to also bring revenues to the city and to really help pay for the lake itself. So I too I'm going to be supporting this project moving forward, but I want you to know I've been the representative for the Valley Metro from the city of Tempe, and one of the things that we have continued to do, and one of the biggest investments that this community makes, this council makes, is in transportation. We 100%, I'm telling you, I am not going to be riding my bike when it's 110. You are absolutely right. However, we do have a lot of air conditioners, orbits, we've got the light rail, and like Councilmember Navarro mentioned, hopefully an extension into Mesa. So I do think there is a lot of opportunity, and we are working hard, really trying to build great partnerships and collaborations with our new developments, whether they're for multifamily, whether they're Class A office spaces, to just really encourage people to get out of their cars and think of different ways that they can possibly get to work. They can go home, go to the grocery store, and that's really just been, I think, part of our vision moving forward. And it needs to continue to be that way. So I'm really proud of this project. I think that the design is phenomenal. I love the open space, and I think that's going to really kind of make, to me, a really phenomenal development, and really great for the residents that are in there and in that area, and people that are going to visit it for the retail space too. So I appreciate the efforts, not only from Georgia Mongela, from the team that you guys have, but also from our city staff, because this has kind of been a lot of heavy lifting, and you guys have done a really phenomenal job to collaborate and create something that I think that we can all be really proud of moving forward. So this is just a really great step in that direction, and I'm very happy to be supporting you here tonight. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Any of the council members' comments? Councilmember Cubie.
Well, I will be riding my bicycle in 110 degrees, but we will make sure as we double our shade in our city that we have shady paths. That's how you can enjoy bike riding in intense heat and help with traffic all around. And, this is a city-owned lot that we're selling, and we have yet to have the discussion, though, about what we're going to do with the proceeds of the land. We can't talk about that today, but we need to have that discussion, because it's my hope that we would see a large percentage of the proceeds go towards the mayor's initiated and council unanimously approved Hometown for All program, which will expand housing opportunities and permanently affordable housing opportunities in our city. So we have yet to have that discussion. I welcome you back to speak at that time at a future work study session. Thank you for coming.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilmember Cubie. Any other council members? Any further comments or discussion? Yep. Quick thing just on my end too, just wanted to say also thank you for your comments this evening and appreciate you coming out to the meeting. I won't belabor anything. I think everyone's already talked about the things that I would have probably said, and I know Councilmember Cubie, we can definitely have that scheduled for a future work study session to have that discussion. I know we talked about before, but yeah, I'm definitely excited about a lot of the elements of the project. One of the challenges we have with that land right now is we pay about $1 million every year just to simply maintain that property, and we're not generating any revenue on the property as it speaks. So it's costing the city a lot of money to maintain basically a dry piece of land that's not doing anything to support, whether it's public safety or parks or, any of our employees or anything of that nature. So I'm very excited about the opportunity to really kind of get the sort of final piece of development around that south side of the town lake. And really other quick point too regarding what Vice Mayor Keating talked about as well. I had the opportunity to speak at an Urban Land Institute event today just about housing. And as many people in the audience know, and my colleagues, that I'm a huge proponent of affordable housing. Now, while this project is not affordable housing, we've talked about the need to create those additional 11,000 units of workforce and affordable housing to make sure that we really maintain the diversity that this city is frankly known for. I've always said we can't be an inclusive city if we don't have housing for people of all different backgrounds and occupations and incomes. So I think that's really critically important. And I know this project's going to be giving over $10 million to the Tempe Coalition for Affordable Housing, which is the affordable housing nonprofit that the city of Tempe oversees, to make sure that we can use that money to go out and purchase additional properties and purchase additional land with which the city can then find ways to create more affordable housing in our community. I know we recently had a public meeting back on March 16th for, I believe it was 4 or 5 city-owned lots on Apache Boulevard in between Rural and Price Roads, where we're talking about creating 500 additional affordable affordable housing units on that site. And I know the city then, frankly, not with this money, but with unreserved general funds at the end of last year, went out and purchased the old Michael Pollock Food City site for $10.6 million of unreserved general funds for the purpose of trying to bring an affordable grocery store and about 200 affordable units back to that area. And so I think that for me, the affordable housing component is also very important. And while I would state that while this project is not going to be an affordable project, it is going to be contributing the largest amount that we've ever gotten from any one development for the purpose of the city reaching our affordable housing goals. But I also would say, too, to the point that you were raising regarding traffic issues and transportation and things of that nature, some of us also this morning had the opportunity to be at the ceremony for the Mill Avenue Modern Streetcar, which currently is just going to be on a starter line. It was announced that it's going to open up May 20th. I think the city's really always been at the forefront when it comes to trying to find ways to get people around our community without the use of a single-use automobile. I think one of the important things that Councilmember Cubie talked about is obviously doubling our tree and shade canopy. As a person who lives in the downtown area and does a lot of walking around, I'm going to be walking home this evening because I live about 5 minutes away. That's critically important for people like myself who walk around and try not to get in my car if I can avoid it. But also, if we can find other ways between our bus rapid transit and Mill Avenue Modern Streetcar and light rail programs to continue to extend all of those systems, it's the right thing for the environment. And given that Maricopa County is the fastest growing county from a population standpoint in the country, I think we do have to continue to find ways to get people around without the use of single-use automobiles. And just really wanted to appreciate all the work that Councilmember Arredondo Savage has done on her stewardship on the Valley Metro Board and overseeing all of that. It's very exciting that the city of Mesa is now already talking about an extension of that modern streetcar to go east on Rio Salado all the way down to the Cub Stadium, which will create another way for people to get around that Rio Salado corridor without the use of a single-use automobile and really create what is a true regional transportation system. So I'm very much excited about that. But to your point, though, we obviously, as more of this development comes in and we attempt, as Vice Mayor Keating talked about, to address the housing shortage in the city of Tempe, we do have to make sure that we find ways to ensure that people can continue to move about our city in a way where they're not just simply stuck on Rio Salado or University Drive or Mill Avenue, sitting there idling for 15, 20 minutes. Because I would hear stories about people being late to go pick up their kids from school because they simply couldn't get back and forth quickly enough to get there in time. And so I do think that's imperative upon the council as we try to address the housing shortage in our community, that we have to manage it effectively and make sure that whatever we're doing, we're not creating unforeseen traffic problems and that people are still able to move throughout our city through multiple modes of transportation. So I think your point's very well taken and just really appreciate you coming forward and making it tonight. So thank you. With that said, if there's no other comments, please vote. Click here.
Aye.
No reload.
You gotta refresh the page.
Refresh the page. There we go. Thank you, Councilmember Garland.
Just refresh the page.
All right, and Councilmember, I can take a voice vote from you. No, you want to do it? You got this? Oh, you'll wait. You'll wait. Okay.
Yes, aye.
Okay. Perfect.
I
Okay.
said aye. I'm not sure.
All
Did
right.
you get my vote, Mayor?
Yes. Thank you, Councilmember Garland. Okay, and that item passes 7-0. All right. Thank you. Okay, and item AC2 is not a public hearing item, and a vote on this item, though, will be taken this evening. AC2 is to adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map pursuant to the provisions of Zoning and Development Code, nunc pro tunc, to correct a Scrivener's error. I've never seen that before on a council agenda in 10 years. In ordinance number 02022.03, previously adopted on February 10th, 2022, for 4th Street Apartments located at 1235 West 4th Street. Council, any comments or discussion?
So I have a question.
Yes, Councilmember Navarro.
What does nunc pro tunc mean?
Yes, can you please, so Madam City Attorney, that sounds like a legal question.
It means now as then. So you're fixing an error. Your microphone's not I'm sorry. You're fixing an error that occurred in the past, and so you want the ordinance to read correctly. Read it now as it should have then.
I mean, you know, it's funny, all of us, it's the first time that I've ever heard that phrase before, but now I know that it's correcting an error, so. Absolutely. Yeah, so Vice Mayor Keating used that in a tweet this morning, and thank you, Madam City Attorney, for enlightening all of us this evening. So.
You're welcome, Mayor.
Let's see, okay, once again, do I have a motion? Moved by Vice Mayor Keating, seconded by Councilmember Navarro. Please vote.
Aye.
Great, thank you very much, and item AC2 passes 7-0. Next up, item number 9, current events, council announcements, future agenda items. I will call on council members for their comments, and this evening I will start with Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have several announcements this evening. One is the One Love Pit Bull Foundation is hosting their first ever 5K or 1 mile run walk event to raise funds to help support all of the homeless dogs in Maricopa County. It will be bright and early this Saturday morning at 8 a.m. at Kiwanis Park. One Love Pit Bull Foundation supports the Sheltered Dog Program, which helps local shelters with their hardest to adopt doggos. Those who know me well understand what a lover of animals I am, and I especially love it when folks go to shelters to pick up their furry friends. That's how I ended up with my dog Stetson. I went to my parents' shelter, animal shelter that they had started in Nebraska during one of my visits there, and it ended up taking home a very large tree-walking coonhound and standard poodle mix. Best surprise ever. Next time I'll have a picture of him up there. The second announcement is Excellence in Education Awards. Next Tuesday, May 3rd, the Tempe Diablos are hosting their 33rd Annual Excellence in Education Awards at the Tempe Center for the Arts. For years, the Diablos get together to honor educators and students in the Tempe community who've shown excellence in the classroom and beyond. This event is only one of its kind in the entire valley. Teachers have called it the Academy of Awards of Education because of their red carpet entry and black tie dress code. During this event, Tempe educators are awarded for their wonderful contributions in helping to give our students the best education possible. They also give out 30 scholarships to Tempe students who demonstrate leadership inside and outside the classroom and who are attending ASU, go Devils, or one of our Maricopa County colleges. So let's give a big thank you to not only the Tempe Diablos for recognizing the need to honor these students and educators, but more importantly to those educators and students who help make Tempe the best place to be. Lastly, I want to wish, oftentimes my parents watch these council meetings from Nebraska, and I want to wish my mother a happy Mother's Day. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Next up, we have Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Going all alphabetically tonight.
No,
so.
I didn't write. Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. All right. First up, I would like to invite everybody to our 7th annual community salutes and say thank you to the Vice Mayor for being one of our keynote speakers. It is. It's just too far away. I'm just really far back here. Hold on. Okay. Anyway, just a great appreciation to some of our continued sponsors and partners, which Manjula was just here. I know she left, but they've been a great partner for us, Gamage and Burnham, along with Waste Management, and then also Sender and Associates. It's because of their sponsorships and our partners that we're able to, actually over the years, we've recognized over 300 future military service members, and this is just a really great way, I think, for us to recognize the future military service members and their families and just wish them well, show our appreciation, and let them know that they're 100% supported here in their hometown. So hopefully if you don't have anything going on and you would like to come and pay your respects, May 9th, 6 p.m. The doors open at 5:30. It's a really great event. And also I know Parrish is probably not here, but just a great thank you to him and the years and the time and the effort that he's put into continuing to keep this program growing. It's always been a really great event. Much appreciated. And then secondly, I just want to give a quick shout out to one of our colleagues And I think not only because she is out there, what I like to think of is really taking our community values to a whole new level when she is on a humanitarian effort in Kenya, very cool, with a group of 22 people. And of those 22 people, 11 of them are from Tempe, Arizona. So I think that is something that is really remarkable. They're spending a lot of time. I know the first day she said that they saw 108 people in their mobilized medical team in their unit. The second day they saw 157 patients, and in the third day they saw 350. I mean, that is just really remarkable, and I just had to give a quick shout out because I know she's posted some of these online and sent me a couple photos individually, but to me, this is just a great effort and just really shows how caring our community is and how willing they are to take their love and passion to others. So thank you to Doreen and the team, and be safe and continue that great hard work. So we will see you next week. And then lastly, I know the mayor kind of already blew it, but I'm going to throw it out there. So the Valley Metro, the Tempe streetcar, I'm going to continue to always call it the Tempe streetcar because that's what it is to me. And it's pretty exciting to be able to actually announce we are finally going to be opening the Tempe streetcar on Friday, May 20th. Through supply chain demand issues and the pandemic, we finally got to the point where we're able to launch it, so we're super excited about this opportunity. It's going to be a really great connectivity issue, great connectivity advantage, I think, for our high-density area in the city here of Tempe. And hopefully, like somebody mentioned earlier, we will have the opportunity to see the growth of the modern streetcar to our other city partners. So I think that's going to be kind of a really exciting thing. I'm really looking forward to be able to get on board and check out the streetcar in that 3-mile loop and see what happens with that in the years to come. So it's very cool because we've been talking about this forever. And I'm really glad to be able to see that come to fruition. So that's all I got, Mayor. Oh, you know what? I just want to make out one personal note. I just want to give a great congratulations to, I try not to keep things too personal, but, my youngest son is graduating from Arizona State University, and we have a lot of other students here that will be graduating from Arizona State University. So I just want to say congratulations to all of our students. I think a lot of them will be graduating before we meet again. So congratulations to your work. Not only to the students and their efforts, but also to the staff. I mean, we know and realize how hard it's really been for a lot of our educators in all aspects of what they do. I just want to show a great appreciation for everybody that is really part of our education system and your continued work through this pandemic and continuing to provide education services to so many of our residents here in the city of Tempe. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo Savage. Councilmember Garland?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a specific announcement, but I just want to say, Robin, thank you for posting and sharing that information. I appreciate it. I absolutely love working on city council and working with our council members and staff, but I have to say I'm equally in love with working with our medical mission team here in Kenya. We're heading out in about a half an hour, so I'm glad that the meeting's wrapping up, and we were able to see 286 patients yesterday, so we're hoping for another day of being able to serve the communities here in Kenya. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Garland. Vice Mayor Keating?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also just want to acknowledge Councilmember Garland for her missionary work. If there's anyone that really kind of walks the walk, it certainly is her. And as we know, she's in Africa right now, as Councilmember Arredondo Savage pointed out, and that's amazing. I'm looking forward to May 9th. Not only am I kicking off Police Week, but I just found out 2 minutes ago that I'm speaking at the Veterans event as well. So it's good because I'm on the mailer. So I guess I'm committed at this point. So I will definitely have to write some remarks for both of those. But it's going to be a fun time. I hope you can join us for the Community Salutes event. I don't know if the Police Week is open to the public, but both speeches will be really good. I can assure you that. Then that's it. Thank you. Oh, wait, one more thing. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I would like to welcome my new assistant on board, Annie Mazzarella, started on Tuesday. So far, she's doing great. She's got big shoes to fill, but I have no doubt that she will just be excellent in her new position, and looking forward to working with you, Annie. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Keating. And just as a quick note on that too, I appreciate Vice Mayor Keating stepping in to do all of those events. From May 9th through the 12th, I'm actually at a Greater Phoenix economic, sort of economic development mission trip over to Washington, D.C. So I'll be gone for a few days. And so this is what we try to do. We try to spread out and make sure that all of us can cover all the different events going on in the city of Tempe. And when I'm not around, Vice Mayor Keating and other council members here are always very willing to step forward and frankly make sure that we have representation at a lot of the very important events we have in this community, showcasing our public safety officers, our veterans, and all types of folks. I wanted to say thank you. So with that said, I'm going to go to Councilmember Cubie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of my favorite times of the year, Zero Waste Day, is coming Saturday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Tempe Fire Training Center, and that's 1340 East University. And some of the things you can recycle and bring to the Waste Day include tires. You can bring, let's see, paper for shredding, styrofoam. We should have a little trivia contest here. Paint, lots of hazardous waste, building materials, which get recycled by Stardust Center and offered to folks at the Stardust Center in Mesa. Lots of clothing and household items, electronics, computer parts, appliances, scrap metal, bikes, repair stands, and bike parts. The bikes go to Recycle a Bicycle. Thank you, Councilmember Erdana Savage, for bringing us that program. And then food donations from the Tempe Community Action Agency. They'll be collecting non-perishable foods. And styrofoam again. I must say styrofoam again, because who doesn't collect a lot of styrofoam and waiting for this day? And I can't stand throwing that away. I do. But what can't you bring to Zero Waste Day? What can't you bring to Zero Waste Day? Plastic bags. Yeah, plastic bags. And wrap will not be accepted. Neither mattresses, car seats, and trash. You can't bring trash there. You can also not bring campaign signs. Sorry, they're not recyclable. But you can make solar ovens out of them if you want to know how. Just zing me. Thank you.
Actually, I would like to know that, Councilmember Cutes. You and I should talk after this meeting. So
A $12 kit, and you make really good chocolate chip cookies with the
Okay.
solar oven.
And
I
I've
will
got a
show
great
you how.
chocolate chip cookie recipe, so let's definitely have a conversation. Let me do really quickly, Councilmember Adams, one more quick thing before I go
Ye-
to Councilmember Navarro.
Yes, I just want to welcome Nikki Amberg as my new council aide. She's already doing a great job, and it's really fun coming to work with her in my room. So thank you, Nikki. Hopefully you hear this tonight.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Councilmember Navarro.
Thanks, Mayor. I know our viewers are dying to turn the channel, but I got one thing to say. Just congratulations to my boy, UCF. He had to leave that school, and hopefully he's going to another school here soon. We're going to Ohio University to visit tomorrow, and I wish him best of luck.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilmember Navarro. And we definitely wish Parker best of luck.
Yes.
I don't have any remarks this evening, so I'll go ahead and end that portion of the meeting. Let me go next to item number 10, public appearances. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the City Council? And if so, please come forward and state your name and city of residence for the record. All right. Seeing none, we're going to get to item number 11, which is the all-important adjournment. I want to let everybody know that the next regular City Council meeting is scheduled for May 26, 2022. And with that said, we are adjourned. Council, we have one other quick Rio Salado meeting we have to do for 2 seconds. Turn it around. You got it. All right. So we are adjourned for the regular council meeting. Thank you so much, everyone.